Our guest of honor this evening, Mr. David Michael Rudder, the Most Honorable Bridget Anisette George, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, hardworking members of the Cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, fellow ministers, members of Parliament, Ms. Alison Drayton, Assistant Secretary General, Human and Social Development of the Caribbean Community, Ms. Rita Toussaint, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Your Excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions and members of the Diplomatic Corps who've come out in strength to honor our proud son of the soil. Distinguished guests, our calypsonians and the artists of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean community, panmen and other cultural experts, the magnificent Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra, Mr. Raymond Edwards, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It is my honor and privilege to read the citation. Can you hear a distant drum bouncing on the laughter of a melody? Does the rhythm tell you to come, 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 come? Does your spirit do a dance to this symphony? Dr. Gordon Roller, respected academic, researcher, and writer on calypso, describes the art form as a mirror that reflects and a lens that either magnifies or reduces the phenomena on which the nation's restless and excitable psyche feeds. Calypso emerged at a particular historical conjuncture in Trinidad and Tobago and was once considered by some to be the province only of those who belonged to a certain class. Today, we have the pleasure of according due recognition and honor to an outstanding calypsonian whose music has delighted the hearts and uplifted the minds of untold millions around the world. This living genius exploded onto the musical and social landscape of Trinidad and Tobago in the late 1970s and early 1980s. And over the decades, it has become pellucidly evident that his talent and his impact have no limits whatsoever. I am proud to say that this master of the art form is one of us. A proud son of Trinidad and Tobago and a giant of the Caribbean community. From the very first bar, from the very first note, a Rudder song grabs you and it never lets you go. He gave us the anthem that rallies West Indians near and far to this very day. He beseeched us to appreciate our neighbors. He beseeched us to appreciate our neighbors and to empathize with them in their times of struggle. He used calypso music to define calypso music. With his unique and timeless lyrics and melodies, he calls attention to the plight of the common man and conveys the power we wield when we stand up and send a message. He continuously strives to elevate our Caribbean consciousness, and he gave us the key to living harmoniously in a multi-ethnic society. Let you be you, and I'll be me. Let you be you, and I'll be me. Mr. David Michael Rudder is the very definition of a cultural icon, and we have several in this room this evening. His is a name synonymous with Caribbean pride. Pride in the heritage, diversity, and beauty of these peoples inhabiting these islands, or islands, whose shores are washed by the waters of the Caribbean Sea. Born on May 6, 1953, one of 9 children, David Rudder grew up in an area commonly known as Freetown in Belmont, Trinidad. His childhood seemed to map the influences that would guide his conscience and to color his music. He was baptized not once, not twice, but 3 times. As a Baptist by his grandmother, as an Anglican by his mother, and as a Catholic in school. And thus he is amicably called Reverend David Rudder by many of his followers. He lived in close proximity to a pan yard and a shango yard, elements which would be at the foundation of his work. Those vibrations gave us the sound that is distinctly his, the sound that is distinctly him. Indeed, Belmont is the cradle from which many who excelled in the arts originated. Belmont was the incubator, the place where the commingling of diverse influences nurtured gifts that must be acknowledged as divine. David Rudder is the consummate creative, having interest and talent in the visual arts such as painting and sculpture, as well as in performance art. He was an apprentice of the late Ken Morris, a master craftsman known for his copperwork and exquisite carnival designs. David Rudder's musical trajectory can be traced back to his participation in singing competitions at school. From a tender age of 9, he was already able to enthrall audiences, confirming for those who were paying attention that something great was in emergence. Eventually, even those who were not paying attention would find themselves riveted, transported, transformed. In my quiet moments, I like to think that there was something in our souls that was calling to him, and he answered the call. At the age of 11, he went on to sing with a group called The Solutions. In 1977, he joined the pioneering calypso band Charlie's Roots. You remember Charlie's Roots? Originally as a temporary replacement for the great Christopher Tambu Herbert, but then he stayed on as a co-lead singer. In Charlie's Roots, Rudder demonstrated his burgeoning talent both in composing songs and in performing on the stage. While earning a living as an accounts officer at the bus company, Rudder was a very good backup singer in the calypso tent run by Lord Kitchener, who is rightfully proclaimed as one of the grand masters of calypso. Rudder worked behind the scenes in calypso tents and studios year after year. You know the journey. Hard year after year. Before his outstanding 1986. I would say before our outstanding 1986 in Trinidad and Tobago. In that year, his album, The Hammer, smashed its way onto the consciousness of the people of this land. It gave us timeless hits such as The Hammer and Bahia Girl, and enabled him to be the very first artist to capture all the major titles in one year. Young King, Calypso Monarch, Road March King, and amazingly, he had the winning Panorama tune as well in that year. You couldn't hide from him. You couldn't escape him. And you did not want to, because the very good had become great. David Rudder also became known as one of the best dressed, most stylish, and classiest singers of our region. And his stage presence was often amplified by the exquisite African-style tunics that he would select and wear, which were fashioned by local designers. This demonstrated and demonstrates to this day his full commitment to the arts in so many diverse aspects. Authentic in every regard, genuine in every respect. He took his gifts up the islands and across the continents. In the year 1992, David Rudder was awarded the Trinidad and Tobago Hummingbird Silver Medal in recognition of his unfailing contributions to uplift the roots of Calypsonian culture. And in 1996, he was appointed as a Goodwill Ambassador of the United Nations Development Program. Through his music, David Rudder has played a most significant role in exporting Trinidad and Tobago and Caribbean culture to the wider world. He was also one of the pioneers of soca music, which is a prominent feature of carnivals within our region and across the world as well. The band Charlie's Roots accompanied Peter Minshall's Carnival Band on Carnival Mondays and Tuesdays, and Rudder's music was essential to the unique performances of the masqueraders in those costumes. There are singers that can sweeten the mood, and there are singers that can raise your spirits. Every good DJ knows that if you want to do both at the same time, it's Rudder time. David Michael Rudder is not just a genius performer, but also a master collaborator with others in his field. He has been featured time and time again in countless magazines, journals, and features, such as the British Sunday Observer and Guardian, the Barbados Nation, the Jamaica Gleaner, Germany's Berliner Morgenpost, the Los Angeles Times, Stern Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Billboard Magazine, Class, Ebony Magazine, and Newsweek, just to name a few. He has performed at just about all of the historic venues across North America, Europe, and Japan. His repertoire even transcended the calypso stage into the film industry. He starred in a television drama entitled Sugarcane Arrows, which was a pioneering Trinbagonian drama aired in the United States of America. He also wrote songs for the Hollywood movie Wild Orchid. And aside from winning prestigious awards and being featured in myriad shows and in the print media, David Rudder has been studied by music critics and academics alike. In 2015, he was awarded a Doctor of Letters honoris causa by the University of the West Indies for his outstanding works and contributions to our society. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, my friends, this is just but a snapshot of David Rudder, a man whose music transcends race, class, and culture. An icon who poetically chronicled much of our region's struggles, such as the problems that arose from the World Trade Organization's ruling against the concessions that were formerly offered under the Lomé Convention. Rudder was there. He also immortalized the then immortal West Indies cricket team. He gave them an anthem. He gave us who love West Indies cricket the lyrics and melody of an emotional cauldron. In that one song, you would smile warmly and tears would fill your eyes. Joy, despair, hope, love. He gave us the songs of who we are as Caribbean people. He gave us the songs of our lives. He gave us the songs of what we could be. He gave us the songs of our lives. A living legend who, in one lyrical flow, captures what makes us good, bad, and great. A chemist of the meaningful, who with apparent ease is able to distill and bottle our great Caribbean aspiration and then gift it back to us. Feed us it, pour it upon us, immerse us in it like a baptism every time he hits the stage and every time we press play. David Rudder was given the moniker King David by the mighty sparrow, a fitting connect to the biblical King David's acclaim as the great musician. King David, your contribution has marked us all. Your life's work is enduring. You have given us the songs of our lives. You continue to inspire us, the people of the Caribbean community, to see ourselves for who we are and to reach for what we must become. One of my most joyous moments was when the heads of government of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, approved this recommendation of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. In keeping with the COVID-19 protocols, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley was not able to be physically present this afternoon, but he has sent to you his love, his admiration, his joy, and his congratulations. It is with great pleasure that the Caribbean community confers on David Michael Rudder its very highest award, the Order of the Caribbean Community. I thank you.